This is Eric Miscoll with EMSNOW, and welcome to this edition of EMSNOW Up Close. My guest today is David Bishop, who's the Regional Director of the Southwest for ICAPE USA, which obviously is a member of the ICAPE Group. So David, thank you for taking time today to join with me. Let me begin, as I always do, by asking you to introduce yourself and ICAPE for the benefit of our audience.
Well, thank you, Eric. I appreciate the opportunity to meet with you this morning. And I'll just say my name again is David Bishop, and I've taken the role of the Regional Sales Director for ICAPE USA. As Eric mentioned, part of the ICAPE Group. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the company and in general, just what's happening.
Okay, absolutely. And let's get right into that, because obviously the pandemic has been a big news for the last 18 months. So the result of the pandemic is it's led to a significant increase in price and delivery time. So how's this affected ICAPE's business?
It's affected everyone, Eric, and it's up and down the food chain. I mean, it's suppliers, it's the end users, it's everyone that is taking a hit on price increases for printed circuit boards and also for freight. And so it's a difficult situation to navigate. And I can say that ICAPE has done what I think is a very good job. We have a China office, and that's our largest office out of 19. We have 250 direct employees there, and part of that group of people is our purchasing group, and they have done a tremendous job of negotiating with the factories that have come through and tried to increase prices across the board. And so these guys have been in the factories talking to the owners and negotiating those price increases to at least minimize the impact to our customers. And so that's really what it's all about these days, is trying to minimize that impact. You're still going to get some price increases, and in fact, I saw this week where another one of the factories that we partner with is trying to increase prices again. So it's the third round. And so that may or may not happen, but we're still hearing that type of information. And so it's distressing for not only us, but when we share that information with customers, that they're also stressing out over price increases.
Now, are those prices related to raw materials, or is that logistics as well?
That it's logistics as well. With the pandemic, the logistics operators have not only lost employees, but it's just a giant backup. And so they were able to charge more for freight, and that's exactly what they've done. And so it's raw materials, it's lead times in the factories due to factory loading with 5G work. And anybody that's been in the business knows that factory loading has resulted from 5G work as well as now electric vehicles. And so those two areas have combined to really load up our factories and make it more and more difficult to get good lead times out of them. And now a double whammy with the raw material situation. Those things that go into making laminate are in short supply, and so that has also contributed to price increases as well as longer lead times.
Okay, gotcha. Well, tell me too, because when I think of the ICAPE Group, I think mostly PCBs, right? But
yes,
obviously more than just that. So it seems to me that what you saw, and I guess that's the part, there's the PCB fab side, but then there's also the, what do you call it, the custom technical part side of the business as
yes.
well. And I think you also have lab services then too associated with all this. So So tell me, I mean, it seems to me that what you really are selling is kind of expertise in the marketplace, right?
It's true. It's true. And, we have a long history of supplying printed circuit board fabrication to the marketplace here in the United States and worldwide. And we also have a second division that is called CIPEM, CIPEM. And CIPEM is the division that are experts in custom technical parts. We don't do anything off the shelf. It's all you design it, we build it. But those custom electromechanical parts is really what they are. Could be cables and connectors, keypads. Those keypads are highly used, and so that's a good commodity for us. And we also have custom transformers and coils, and LCD and LED screens, and so and several of these custom parts are, and I think I mentioned this to you earlier, that we shipped somewhere in the neighborhood of $60 million worth of custom technical parts in 2020. And so that made up about $20 million in revenue for ICAPE Group. Mm-hmm. So it's a very significant portion of our business.
So tell me also then, David, about the lab services that you have to offer.
We actually have two labs. One is in China and one is in Indianapolis, and they're both equally capable of providing lab services, and each has the virtually the same equipment in-house. And so as far as the United States is concerned, Indianapolis is manned by a very capable group of people that have decades of experience in lab services offerings. So it's really a unique situation for a company to have this type of lab services group in-house. Mm-hmm. And we offer the lab services not only to our customers, but we also offer those same lab services to companies outside of our customer base. So for instance, we can validate either printed circuit boards or printed circuit board assemblies. And so we have full testing capabilities for either of those. And when we get the test results for either one of those, we also issue an approval for use letter that says we guarantee that this circuit board or this PCB assembly will do what it's supposed to do.
Okay. Interesting. So then, to follow up on that, so I could be a smaller EMS that's having a problem with a board, and I could send it to your lab, and they would do the validation and the testing of it for me.
Exactly.
Oh, excellent.
So that's something that anyone can do, and it could, like I said, a bare board, or it can be a circuit board assembly, and we'll do the validation on it.
Okay. Excellent. I used to work for a small EMS here, Prototype, and we used a lot of outsourced lab services. So there certainly is a market for that, I would imagine, within the country, with especially smaller companies who don't have the wherewithal to have that as an internal capability.
And I'm no expert within the lab services area, but I know that we cross-section circuit boards. We do microsection analysis to look at the hole quality, plating thickness, that type of thing. And we do X-ray fluorescence, which measures some of the different coatings that go on the circuit boards. And we also do X-ray inspection, which tests for a number of different problems that could be associated with boards on the internal basis. Yeah. We do thermal testing, so we can do a shock treatment on different boards and assemblies, taking them from heat to cold and seeing what effect it has on those boards. We do ion testing, which tests for cleanliness. And so we do all of this in-house, and it's a really good setup. So I would recommend anyone to give us a call if they're interested in lab services.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'm glad I followed up on that. Tell me, it seems to me that VMI would be an important part of your service offering as well. Is that right?
It is, and Eric, it's interesting because when we talk about lead times and reducing lead times, we can talk about VMI stocking programs, for instance, vendor managed inventory, but we offer stocking programs for our customers, and we have a warehouse in Indianapolis, which is centrally located, and so it's a great place to ship from, and for instance, let's say that one of our customers orders 3 months worth of product and we stock that in Indianapolis. They can pull from that and we will invoice them after they pull from that stock. And so it gives them a cushion, and we have the ability and the wherewithal to make that kind of arrangement happen. And so what this really does is it gives our customers that take advantage of the stocking programs an opportunity to get what I would consider to be production pricing, but quick turn delivery. And so you're buying a larger quantity. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. We'll put that in the warehouse, and we don't want to mess with shelf life issues, but we would go up to 6 months. And so it's very good for the customers. So they can have that stock. They can get it in 1 to 3 days, depending on how quickly they need it. And by the time that stock is running out, they can place another order. And by the time we get that, it's just a seamless effect for them. So it's a great deal.
Yeah, and I'd imagine with the supply chain challenges that we've been experiencing in the industry this year, especially.
Exactly.
There are probably a lot of people who are trying to do that purchasing more just to kind of get it in-house. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me, I read in one of the ICAPE newsletters that the organization in North America especially is growing. Tell me about that. What's happening here?
It is growing. And in fact, we just recently opened our Canadian office up in the Toronto area. A gentleman named David De Silva is my counterpart up there. He's the director of sales for Canada. And then you've met Paulo Franca. Yep. He's our West Coast director. Roger Hartz is our Indianapolis area director. And we're hiring. We're in the process of hiring another director for our Southeast region, which we hoping to open up rather soon. And so we have opportunities for individuals that are interested and have experience with printed circuit boards and or custom technical parts to join our company. And I, for instance, am looking for a good person for the Denver area, and we're also looking for people on the West Coast, and we're also looking, as I mentioned, for our Southeast region, which is coming up quickly. And so we're in that process as well. So we're growing.
Yeah. So what's driving that? Is that local domestic manufacturers seeking new partners here domestically, or what's going on?
I think it has to do with the United States being one of the major markets for ICAPE Group. And so we're looking for this area, both the US and Canada, to be major growth areas for our company. And so we're focusing on staffing up in both areas and doing our best to gain market share here.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're well on your way to doing that. So
I hope so. We're working on it.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. So, and that's a good shout out to anybody who might be listening, who might be interested. I'd encourage you to reach out to David. So, well, listen, thank you for the time today. Thank you for giving us the update. It's always good. I enjoy catching up with ICAPE because you guys are involved in so much of the industry. with the services you provide. So it's good to meet you, and it's good to get your view of what's happening. Hopefully later in the year we get some more updates from ICAPE, because I think that it's still kind of a volatile situation out there and a lot of things impacting the industry, and it's
Absolutely.
be curious to see how this all plays out through the rest of 2021. So,
well, thanks, Eric. I really appreciate your time and for the opportunity to say a few words about ICAPE.
yeah, and you did that well, sir. So I thank you for that, and I wish you a successful rest of 2021.
Thank you, Eric. You too. Take care.
Too.